So, Shawn, why did you pick Suburban Sasquatch?
And why'd you do this, Shawn?
Don't you put this evil on me. Because Josh drew out of the hat last week, or 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. And so we did another draw from the hat.
I got
I won
to draw from the hat. Oh, you for sure
won. I
won.
won fair and square.
You for sure won.
Yeah. And I was willing to rock, paper, scissors again, but you felt that it would be fair for Shawn, and thanks for that. Yes. Thanks for that. Yeah. Although I hope that I wouldn't have picked this out. That. Yeah.
I'm actually kind of glad that you picked Suburban Sasquatch in order just to not only get it over with, but go from an ultimate high last time to very low.
Yeah. I mean, why keep them good, right?
Yep.
Low.
You know, why continue to enjoy ourselves?
Suburban Sasquatch is a movie that has been making kind of the rounds. It's kind of grown in popularity over the years, especially with the these types of box sets of whatever movies,
right?
And it's a fairly popular reviewed film for people who like the irony of just the bad movie thing.
So bad it's good.
I've seen a few of those where they've done Suburban Sasquatch, and I will just say this right away and just get it out of the way completely. I mean, I have not seen the movie. I've seen the clips. This movie works better as clips.
Absolutely it does.
There's absolutely no redeeming value of the whole Native American story.
No.
The writers, the news, the whatever the guy is trying to do story.
Yeah.
It's if they just took all the scenes with the Suburban Sasquatch and just put them all together.
Yeah.
And just threw it out there. Maybe, have the Pocahontas lady pursuing the Suburban Sasquatch, lose all that mysticism crap and all the exposition, all the round-around circles, repeating over and over and over and over and over again, trying to develop some sort of character. You didn't need it at all, period.
I couldn't agree more. I will say this movie had a lot more enjoyable moments than I think a lot of the movies that we've seen that have been on the lower end, where it's like we desperately hold on to like the 2 or 3 moments that actually elicit some kind of an emotional reaction from us. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, personally, and obviously the mileage may vary here, but I mean, I was making a list.
And the mileage here was 1 hour and 37 minutes.
Yeah, which, like we've talked about, you didn't need to do it. You could have cut so much. I think that there's a version of this movie that is an hour and 15 minutes that is 300% better, because there's a lot of real wacko shit that happens in this movie. And there were a lot of things that I genuinely liked. And it wasn't just
for instance,
for instance, the part where you have the old lady who's like sitting on a chair, and then there's like some drunk younger dude who's just like dancing in the living room holding a beer, and she's sitting there and he's just like wobbling around holding a beer.
It was kind of your Hal Hartley moment.
Yeah, and it's like this like music that's playing. And first I didn't see the guy, and it's like, why is this old lady just listening to like this, kind of, punkish rock music?
Why is this happening? Why? Why?
Right. You know, so there's moments like that. I actually made a list. I made a list.
Oh, wow.
As I was going. Yeah. Of things that I thought were worth talking about. And I did them in order, but the bad, incredibly bad CGI opening credits were a good place to start. Like, I definitely felt that, first of all, why do that? Why not just have a camera going through the woods and have like an overlay of graphics on top of that? Like, why create an entire bad CGI woods that looks like seriously like a $1 to $2 budget Steam release? And why would you start your movie that way?
Because it had better special effects than anything else in the movie.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, at least it was kind of a consistent in its badness in the opening.
Yeah.
The birds were digital.
Oh,
the
yeah. He jam-packed
gunshots,
CG everywhere. The window.
the explosions, windows, doors,
Yeah.
a net.
Yeah.
Which was already practical in the scene,
and
real
way
in the scene.
smaller.
Oh, that net. That made me mad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The net being animated for no reason. Like, if you need a CGI net, go for it.
Sure.
Put it over there.
If you want to make it way bigger than the actual practical net that you threw over his head, okay.
But then why animate it? It's there's no reason for it to be moving in that scene.
Yeah, unless what you're trying to do is make a shitty movie. And it seems in a lot of cases. Yeah. Well, and that's, as we've talked about, right? You know, whereas the classic definition, I think was it like maybe Pauline Kael that said this, that like the definition of camp is when is like failed seriousness. And this isn't ever attempting to be serious. This guy was making a really low budget movie that he knew. It's like the internet wasn't around in 2004. Like maybe YouTube culture wasn't what it is now, right? I mean, I think YouTube came around about then. But still, you're creating an intentional cult movie at this point. And that kind of irks me a little bit, right? Because it's a different thing when you're a Neil Breen. And Neil Breen, I genuinely believe that this guy is like he's trying to create masterpieces and in some ways succeeding. I think this guy's like, I'm going to make a shitty movie with my friends. I'm going to get all my friends together, get my family, my cousins, my grandma, my grandpa.
Right.
And I'm going to make a shitty movie and it's going to be fun. And that's okay. But like, you're also kind of wasting my time. If you're going to do something, try and make it serious. And if it ends up failing terribly, then great. You've got a So Bad It's Good movie potentially with some really good moments. When you're trying to make a shitty movie, you just annoy me in a lot of cases.
To be honest, people endear to make these projects. Even the worst one, you could say, it's not like somebody sat back and just said, I don't care what happens. People are really trying. Maybe there's some refinement to get it to be a certain level of media. But as someone once said to me, said, The Lord of the Rings cost maybe 185,000 times your film. Yeah. It's not 185,000 better. It's just that much more money. And maybe, but, I mean, yours could go through some refinement to make it better. But it's that heart and soul that goes into it. And it really comes up in this.
I definitely think Sean was annoyed.
Oh, I was really, really annoyed.
I
have a lot of resentment.
Yeah. I was a bit more forgiving of it. Like, there were some things, you have the...
I laughed at certain scenes. Like, there was moments where I smiled.
Right.
But, I had kidney stones once, and there was a moment that I smiled there, too.
Right.
I don't think it was out of happiness or joy.
I'm trying, help me cry.
There's the part where the Sasquatch rips the guy's guts out and feeds him to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he rips the guy's arm off and he throws it at his friend.
He slaps a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. Sasquatch slaps and through sheer force of that slap sometimes will knock a limb off.
Right.
And sometimes will just knock somebody back.
Which seems to be his big thing that he likes to do.
That's his wrestling move.
Right.
Yeah.
Take people's limbs off. Seemingly because that's probably what was the easiest thing to do with CG or their special effects budget is get those Spirit Halloween limbs,
Yes.
do it that way. There were some good lines though, the
Monsters are not real, like the boogeyman or your father. They're not really there.
Good line.
That was a good line.
That was one
You know.
good line.
Like, I don't want to completely shit on the movie because it's like it does have some good lines. I don't think I want to shit on the entire movie as a film. I want to shit on it as a concept. You know, the concept of setting out to make this ultra low budget, like intentionally bad movie.
Well, that's the concept of making
Yeah.
it. The concept of the film itself, I actually think, the title is Suburban Sasquatch. That evokes a certain sort of imagery.
Sure.
You're getting a monster that traditionally is in one type of an environment and an entirely different one. Okay. I can
It
go
delivers
along
on
with
that.
To a point.
I mean, it's suburbs. It's Sasquatch going into suburban homes and killing like
Right.
regular suburbanites.
True.
You know, like in
True.
that way, it delivers.
But there's no real reason that it's happening.
Did they describe? And I want to make sure I didn't miss anything because I would be lying if I said I didn't, kind of tune out during parts of this, like because I was waiting for this hour and 37 minutes to like finally be up, and this was like the Return of the King of low budget, ultra low budget movies with so many freaking endings. But like she had mentioned, Pocahontas and Uggs had mentioned at some point, it's weird that the Sasquatch is acting this way and it's usually not this aggressive. Like, did they ever pay that off?
Yes, multiple times she said it's strange that Sasquatch is acting this way or something like that.
Right.
This isn't how it's supposed to happen. I don't know. There was a couple moments where I thought that there was going to be some plot and exposition really given. The chief police officer talking about his incident in Oregon with Sasquatch.
Yeah.
How it followed him here now into Pennsylvania, which is where this film's set.
Totally.
But that never pays off.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. So it never did. Like the whole, like we don't find out why the Sasquatch is being more aggressive than normal.
Right. He's not there because of him.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Yeah.
Although it kind of started painting that picture.
Right.
He just shows up, and he shows up randomly. And the police, for whatever reason, want to cover up all these crimes.
Because the chief wanted to cover it up because he did not want to relive the nightmare that happened to him in Oregon. With his wife.
He is living the nightmare that happened in Oregon.
He is, but he's in denial. Because he said that he wanted to move away to a place that was crime-free
and
hate-free. So by seeing this stuff happening,
Portland, Oregon,
the big thing about the police people of that town is that they were covering up all this stuff. Is because he wants, I think, oh God, why am I reading too much into this? He is also wanting the community to feel exactly how he wants everything to be perceived based on what happened to him in Oregon. He does not want to happen on this suburban island.
Right.
So he's covering covering everything up. So then the townspeople don't ever experience anything or know stuff like he experienced in Oregon.
It's a bad plan. It's a really bad plan because
are there islands in Pennsylvania? I mean, I know that there's rivers, I guess. So there could be.
According to this, I guess.
I think there are islands in Pennsylvania.
Well, it was referred to as an island on a couple of occasions.
I know. I know.
So,
all creatures on this island must be delivered from you.
I am ready.
And they did set it in Pennsylvania. I was waiting
Like
for them
if
to
there's
acknowledge
anything,
that, and they did.
there's like some little tiny island in the middle of a lake, but it's not going to be anything that's like this.
that can support like a 1,500 home community.
Right. Yeah. I mean, unless I drastically don't know anything about Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania fans, write in.
Comment below. Write down there. Tell us if there's islands in Pennsylvania.
And if there's any local Sasquatch legends of Pennsylvania,
right,
akin to the Jersey Devil or something of that.
Other things. So I did like this. Like, I think if paid off better, if it went anywhere, I think this is like an interesting idea. Is that like, so a woman gets kidnapped in front of her son, gets taken into a cave by Sasquatch.
Oh yeah, Timmy's mom.
Yeah, exactly. And so then there's
That's what she was credited as.
right.
I just have to interject real quick that a lot of the credits did not give the characters names.
Totally.
They referred to anybody that, I know, Muffy the dog, Buffy, Sluffy, Fluffy.
Which is another moment, for sure.
It just said Muffy's owner.
Right. Yeah, Buffy's more important. Timmy's mom. So Timmy's mom's in the cave, and some guy, he's like he'd like been previously attacked. This is a guy who had his friend's arm thrown at him, and then he ended up face down unconscious in like water and not drowning, apparently, just knocked out.
Wasn't that
in the water.
The director? There was Joe the fisherman.
Uh-huh.
And then there was Dave. It said that he was like the fisherman's friend.
Okay. Gotcha. So that guy is going and hears a woman screaming in a cave, and then he goes into the cave, and then he hears the Sasquatch, and he's like, fuck this, I'm out. And he just runs away. And I like the idea of, he didn't try and play hero or anything like that. He's just like, oh no, he's Sasquatch, I'm gone.
He didn't even go to the police or anything.
Yeah, no, he just leaves. Like, I've actually liked that.
As opposed to a lot of other people that anytime they heard a noise, they immediately got on the phone and called the police.
Right, or investigated it, or try to play a hero or something like that. Yeah. I like the idea of just somebody being like, no, I'm getting the fuck out of Dodge as soon as I hear the monster.
It's a small character moment.
Yeah.
That you could probably relate to in some ways.
Totally.
Yeah, because none of it needed to actually occur. Like, we could have just assumed that he died there in the river.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
He didn't need to get back up.
It was unnecessary.
To find the cave to run away.
Right. Yeah. Unnecessary, like a lot of this movie, but I think kind of an interesting thing just because it does go against expectations a little bit. There was Police Chief magazine.
Yeah, I think it was it.
It was. I saw it again. Okay. Yeah. So he's got.
I saw that, and I thought it was a hallucination.
Yeah, no, it was really Police Chief magazine.
Considering how many printers they had, I'm sure they were just print out whatever they could as far as material for the film.
Yeah, totally. So that wasn't complete shit. There was I really genuinely, I think the funniest part of the movie, like, we also helped, but there was like the guy who's calling out for his dog, and we genuinely can't understand what the hell he's saying.
The dog's name, yeah.
And it sounded like he was saying something different.
Is screaming his dog's name because he's trying to find him, but every time he says it, it sounds so different that we couldn't make it out.
He's going like, and then we're like,
Muffy,
Buffy,
Fluffy,
Frosty, Bosty.
And we couldn't confirm it until we saw the credits.
Yeah.
Right. And then then he finds his dog, and then Sasquatch like picks up dog and rips it in half. Yeah. And that was pretty good. That's a pretty good moment. Yeah. Definitely that made me laugh.
Sasquatch was really pissed off in this whole movie.
Yeah.
He wasn't even just trying to live a Sasquatch life.
Right.
Like, I expected this movie to go that way. Mm-hmm. You have a suburban development being built off of Sasquatch's land,
and even you've got like a Native American in there, so it's exactly.
She's going to be the preachy, aspect, saying, "Why are you moving in on land you don't know?" No, none of that. No, none of that at all.
It's just a monster who's like an asshole. Like, he's not just like a killer; he's an asshole too.
And to be the fine folks who wrote the plot description on the back of the film collection, the first sentence is, "Bloodthirsty and pissed off, the suburban Sasquatch arises from the dark depths of the forest, wreaking carnage on a small suburban town."
That's what it is.
I can't argue with that.
That's an accurate plot description.
It's accurate. And we didn't talk about the fact that the Sasquatch can turn invisible. Well, first we're like, is he teleporting? Is he turning invisible? We don't know what he's doing, but he's like literally will disappear and reappear. And then we find out from, was it Tala?
Yes.
Tala, who's the Native American warrior woman.
Pocahontas and Uggs.
Pocahontas and Uggs.
Said earlier.
Yeah. And she like she describes that Sasquatch can manipulate planes of existence and travel in between planes of existence and also manipulate reality. So you like can make people fall asleep sometimes. Doesn't use it hardly at all, but occasionally when it feels like it, just like knocks people out and puts them to sleep.
Right.
Carries them away, and then they seem to wake up immediately as soon as he's carrying them. So it's not a very good sleep spell. But yeah, so it was like contrivance. It was convenience and contrivance.
Her weapon of choice is a bow and arrow, but her arrows have arrowheads on them that have a bedazzled jewel glued to the tip.
Grindstone.
Which they actually mention several times, saying arrowheads don't usually have jewels embedded in them.
Right.
Well, Grandma was really confused by that.
Yeah, well, Grandma didn't even know she was in a movie. I don't think.
I don't know that end song.
She killed it with that end song, though.
Wow.
I gotta say that end song was
We're
pretty.
assuming that's her, right?
Oh, it was.
Oh, it
You could
totally
see
was.
it in the thing. Well, because we don't know if it was her, but it said at the end the song was by a person who had the same last name as the director, and I'm pretty sure that's like his grandma or mom or something. You know, it's probably grandma. She looked like, I mean, she might be his mom or aunt. You know, some older relation of his. But yeah, ends up making this, song, which is so weird. It feels like, because it says song is written by her, so he's
Well,
like,
it was multiple credits. He had lyric
so-and-so,
credits
yeah.
on it.
okay, but she also had lyric credits, right? Or did it just say performed by?
Maybe it was
Not
just
sure.
performed by.
Okay. Well, if he wrote, whoever wrote that song, it feels like they recorded the song a cappella and then like kind of layered it over this other song that and it's not really in beat at all. It ends up sounding like almost like some kind of weird piece of performance art.
Or a chant of some sort.
Yeah.
That, and the lyrics are relevant to the film that you just watched.
Yeah.
But in a kind of somewhat explain the plot way. It's like, we just saw the movie. Why do you need to explain the plot?
Right. Well, it's like he hands
Via
a script
song.
and said, and it's like puts it at the end of the movie instead of the beginning of the movie, maybe. Like they intended to put it in the beginning to explain what you're about to experience.
I know. It just having that whole connection with Grandma, with the song at the end, and all the names with the same last name as the director.
Yeah.
And a lot of the same last names, within like other people that were in the movie. I think this was kind of a family film, like where they just did it all together to amuse themselves.
Yeah, totally.
So, you can't really fault it for that.
Well,
The
movie has no central message, so it's got to be just a family film.
It definitely has a central message.
Oh, what's that?
Go with God. Believe in God.
Yeah.
Believe in something. Believe in yourself. Believe in what you're doing.
That's true. There is definitely a very...
Didn't they just, repeat that over and over and over
Right.
again and
I
hypocritical
might
about
have
it as
taken
well
that.
many times?
Also, Tala has healing powers because there's one person that falls down and looks like they're they're dead or whatever, and then she just leans down and heals them, but that's the only time she does it in the movie. She doesn't heal any of the other victims.
She just got a scratch. Everybody else got limbs ripped off.
Right.
Of them.
Yeah, sure. I guess that's
That's a little bit more work.
Yeah. There's was it Zeke and the boys? There's this
Right.
part where so it's the cop is oh, we're going to call in Zeke and the boys. And I'm expecting some badasses, I'm expecting in Desperado when the other mariachis come and one has a rocket launcher. I expect ultimate badasses. It's just a bunch of dudes in sweaters and one person dressed as Mike Myers but with a curly blonde wig.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have some big battle with Sasquatch where they're each firing single shot weapons, and then it cuts to the Sasquatch and there's a barrage of bullets.
Yeah, like a machine gun's
Yeah.
being levied on.
Yeah,
onto
exactly. And then you have one of the guys gets attacked and he's on the ground, he's spitting up blood, and one guy is "Are you okay?"
him. Stops everything to cradle him in his arms.
Whereas within the scene, the Sasquatch would be right there.
Was this film joyless? No, I definitely laughed a lot, at different things in it. But what annoys me about movies that seek to be bad movies that end up getting a cult audience and get people to do YouTube videos about how bad this movie is, which, as you've said, there are other people doing that than us,
What?
What? Right, yeah, exactly. What annoys me, but we don't just look for bad movies. That's the thing. We are genuinely trying to dig for gold, and just we have to get through this shit in order to do that. So we're not necessarily a show that's just about, hey, look at this shitty movie. Look at this latest shitty movie that you're going to go on IMDb and rate it 10 out of 10 because, it's hilarious. It's like the thing that really pisses me off about filmmakers that do that kind of shitty movie. And this was a lot like about that. What was that other movie we watched? Fatal Future,
Right.
And is like when you set out to make a bad movie, what you're doing is you're absolving yourself of any responsibility of actually trying to make a good movie.
Sure.
You're saying, I'm just going to be lazy with my writing and I'm going to have no continuity. I'm going to have editing that doesn't make sense. And it's okay because that's what we intended. And at that point, you're wasting my fucking time. Seriously, don't waste my time. There's no reason to do that. Try to make a good movie. Just try. And if you try to make a good movie and you fail and it becomes a cult classic, that's awesome. Good for you. You found something that you did your best and you suck and it found an audience. When you try to make a bad movie, you're just excusing laziness. I wasn't angry at this movie. I mean, you're comparing it to something like a Fatal Future. Way more laughs in this than something like Fatal Future.
I don't think it was completely joyless. Like I said, they just needed to drop all that dialogue that just kept going in circles and circles and circles.
The pseudo philosophy bullshit.
Just give me all the Suburban Sasquatch stuff. Right. I want the highlight reel.
Yeah, totally.
And
absolutely.
it totally still would have worked.
Yeah.
Just make her like this badass huntress.
Totally.
And every time that she shows up to wherever she can, in tune with the universe of the, trans something, whatever, bloobly blobbity, you don't even have to explain it. It's just that they happen to show up at the times that he does because, that's how they're like in tune with each other. It's like, it's kind of like that movie like Hancock or something. It's like, if we get, close together, it's like, things start to happen. It's like, we are drawn together for some reason.
Yeah.
And it's like, the battle to the end, kind of thing. But it just, they threw in this whole thing with this writer guy and then trying to have that mythos to it, but then like really delve into the characters of having, Pocahontas has her very straightforward arc, but maybe still has some questions of like, is this what I should be doing with my life? But this is how I am. This is what I'm designed to do. This is what I was born to do. And by the way, her grandfather or whoever it was, or chieftain was absolutely not Native American.
No, well,
I even wonder if the woman was.
I don't think she was. I mean, her last name is Sanchez, so. Yeah, I mean her last name is Sanchez, so I mean she might still have Native American blood. I'm not gonna make assumptions, but I mean she looked like she was probably Latinx, like so. I mean, who knows?
So then you had the dude who was a writer, and it just constantly having these conversations that just went over the same thing over and over and over and over again, and then hypocritical things. I mean, I kind of know what they were trying to do. It's just, put the hammer away because you're just beating me over the head with it just way too much.
Well, because at that point, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to make a point about, like what's important in life and somebody who's a warrior versus a storyteller and finding your true calling? Like, are you trying to do that? Or are you trying to make a shitty movie with a dude in a bad suit who's going around and going, like, what are you trying to do? Like, if you're trying to do one thing, do it. Don't also try and shoehorn in all this philosophy bullshit, because then it makes me think you're trying to make a serious movie, which you're obviously not.
Well, they can do that. Just fucking tighten it up.
Tighten it up.
This movie does not need a B plot.
No, it
At all.
doesn't. It doesn't.
It had a B plot, it had a C plot, and
Yeah.
it's
It's
definitely a
called
D plot.
Suburban Sasquatch.
I liked
Give
all
me
of
some
the
Sasquatch in suburbia. That's all I want to
totally,
see.
yeah. And I liked all the characters. I like the body count in this was high. I like little moments like the mechanic guy brings 2 pipes and a guy's like, no, I asked you to bring me 2 springs,
Yeah.
And it's like, little moments like that were kind of funny. Like there's these little things in there. Some of the kills, the tearing the dog in half, the ripping the guy's leg and off and beating him with it. The little things like that were really, I think, funny. But all the other stuff ends up leaving you so annoyed and angry that you don't really want to walk away saying, I really enjoyed that stuff. And I totally, absolutely get that situation for sure.
Okay, the filmmakers out there, people who are making movies who are, you can buy cameras like the ones we're using now, and actually, if you know how to do white balance and all that stuff and do some decent lighting and some editing, and you're making some incredible things. You don't have to make it 90 minutes. That is an old, 80s, even into maybe the 90s, where, if you want feature length, it has to be 90 minutes or more. How many movies have you seen that have adhered to that? And the first credit scene and then the end credit scene was just...
Right.
And it's like 5 minutes of credits that didn't have to be there, 10 minutes even sometimes.
But does it have to be 90 minutes? I mean, because there are movies that are shorter than 90 minutes.
Sure.
And they're totally fine movies. We just watched one last week that was a badass movie that was, an hour and 23 minutes, I think.
Right.
We loved that movie. Now, granted, there was more to work with there, but that movie didn't have fat. It trimmed all of it.
But I mean, it's not just the philosophy of making something that's 90 minutes. I think it was more of a if you're to do a theatrical run, and either of you can correct me on this, or if you know more about it, Sean, too. But from what I remember, it's 90 minutes is like the perfect chunk of time in order to maximize.
Yeah.
Your real estate for theaters. So it's to get the butts in the seats,
right,
and how you schedule throughout the day. 90 minutes is perfect to maximize that amount of time.
Totally. I think this would play very well with a Video Vortex crowd. I definitely think if you were in the audience, there's enough moments, there's enough laugh out loud moments that come just frequently enough that if you're with a crowd and you're getting snacks and drinks delivered to you, that
drinks would help.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see this being better in that circumstance as opposed to us just, sitting there watching it in the living room. Mm-hmm. I could see it having more appeal that way for sure. But yeah, I mean, you nailed it. That this needs to be trimmed down. A highlight reel of this one is totally fine. Not worth seeking this one out whatsoever.
Video Vortex does those mixtape things from time to time. I could see some of this stuff being used in that.
Oh, sure.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, not on its own
episode.
If this is your first episode of View and Spew, Spellcaster is episode 9.
Yeah.
Go watch that and then go watch Spellcaster.
Wow, we're in double digits now.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
everybody. We made it to 10?
Yeah.
All right.
Anniversary.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, definitely. Spellcaster and Voyage of the Rock Aliens.
Yes.
All right, cultfollowing.co. Bye.
Bye.
Rising from the underbellies of hell.